Alrighty, so it's been a little minute since we have embarked in our learning adventure. So, of course, as always, we got our coffee right here. We got curiosity with us at all times. So let's hop into some Renshu, try and relearn some of, or review, I guess we should say, some of our hiragana first. So we got Hiya. It's going to be high plus ya. Should be that one. Cool deal. Zu is going to be this one right here. Zo is going to be, I feel like it's that one. Nice. Good deal. Be is going to be this one. She is going to be the hook right there. To is, fuck. Damn. Oh well, we'll get him next time. Nyo. Rio, I mean. Oh, and it was Ryu. Oh, we are rusty. I gotta be more consistent for sure. Zu, no, Ru. Damn, I'm getting cooked right now. Rio is right here. Sa. Ooh. Nice. I didn't even mean like that sound I made. That was me thinking sound. It wasn't even meant to be a U or nothing. Bowl. Okay. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Hell yeah, nice. Sha, Shangri-La, Goated Cod Map. Pooh. Cat is going to be this one because it kind of looks like a keg, if I remember correctly. You got degree symbol plus ha. It's going to be pa. Thankfully, it's multiple choice because I probably was not about to get that if it was otherwise. No, it's going to be this one right here. Kia is going to be this boy right here. Ki. Ba is gonna be this guy right here. Bu, Majin Buu. Ko is gonna be the koi fish. Chi is gonna be this. Go is going to be, I want to say this one. I'm gonna say that one. Oh, and I got it wrong. Oof. Go is actually freaking gotta squint to see that guy. Anyways, oh, I just saw Gohan. Shout out Dragon Ball. A. Cha is gonna be Chi plus Ya. Q. Q is gonna be Ki plus U right there. We got Ra. Ra is gonna be this guy right here. No, it's not actually. Psych. P. Sho. Alright, keep going. G is gonna be this one right here. You got New. Z is gonna be this one right here because it's normally Se, and then the little squirt marks there make it Z. We got Do. I think that's this one. Hell yeah, nice. We got High plus squirt marks. That's Bi. Fuck yeah. All right, Do slash Zoo. So it's gonna be this one right here. Oh fuck, it's actually not. Went into that a little too confident, I guess. Gotta humble myself. Actually, I don't have to humble myself because Renshu's doing it for me. But yeah. Cho. It's either pet or be. That little apostrophe, or little degree, I almost said apostrophe. That little degree symbol right here tells me, what's it telling me? Pe. Hell yeah, nice. Te. Alright. 34 out of 40. It's not really where we want to be, but it's okay. Yeah, the simple act of me being here is already better than what I have been doing, you know, slacking off and all. So I want to say it's brew. Hell yeah. Big bet. Go is this one right here. Ryu. Do/zu is going to be this one right here. Ra. For sure that one. To. There we go. Hell yeah. And the moment y'all have all been waiting for, it's tap the gotcha machine. Gotcha machine. Oh shit. Legendary pull. Let's fucking go. I don't even really know what... Oh wait. I do know what that is. It looks like a little water dispenser thingamabob. So it's actually an epic pull. So that's pretty sick. It goes for a little bit on the market. We'll take that for sure. Alrighty. Let's study some katakana. Why not? I'm gonna absolutely shit the bed on this, but hey, shit. At least it might be funny, maybe. So we got na, natsu, natsu is nuts. So okay, natsu, nuts. All right. We don't need the little step by step how to draw. So instead, we're going to the mnemonic right here. Mnemonic. Okay, there we go. Is that a T? Nah, almost. It's actually a sick way to remember it. All right. Boom shakalaka. Let's go next. Alrighty, we got neat. Nico Nico is with a friendly grin.
Nico Nico.
Nico Nico. Ni means two in Japanese, so this is just two lines, and it's the same as the kanji for two. Pretty radical, if you ask me. Let's go next. Boomski, bet. Nu, kanu. Kanu is canoe. The more you know. Nu. And of course, it is associated with canoe. Ugh. Oh, sorry. Having on my coffee. I mean, 3 cc's of coffee stat. Hell yeah. All right. Let's go. The tip of a canoe with an oar over the side. Very descriptive. For me, I'm just going to simplify it in my primitive brain and just be like, oh, if you squint, it's kind of a canoe. So, it's also a freaking 7 rotated on its axis a little bit too. Whoa, this is quite the symbol here. Ne, it almost looks like it almost reminds me of like some some Power Rangers stuff from like the Samurai one when I was younger. Yeah, it's giving those vibes. Nekotai is necktie. Necktie. Ne. So ne ku ta I. Hell yeah. Alright. Oh shit, we skipped over the mnemonic. Looks like a necktie. Nice. Just what we needed. Boom shakalaka. Let's keep it moving. We got no. Noto is notebook.
Noto.
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 Noto. Coolio. Alright.
No.
Nope. It has no ticks. Has no ticks. I say we just remember that the green bean, presumably green bean right here is black bean, is no. Yeah. Oh, it's a green bean right there though. Alright. Our new terms. Key. This is gonna be kind of rough. I think it's that one. Fuck yeah. Okay. Ne. Freak, yeah, okay. Oh. Hiragana / katakana because oh wait, but it's asking me for katakana. See, this is I'm pretty sure this is what was the one we learned first? Hiragana? I'm pretty sure this is set for hiragana, but it's asking katakana, so I'll go there. And I just long conned my way into getting it wrong. Nice. E, elevator doors. Nice. Shout out Shining. I is that one. Te is gonna be the T because why wouldn't it be? The axe is A. Ooh, this one. This is I was about to say it's a 50-50, but I think I just realized what it was on our P's and Q's today. No is gonna be the green bean. This one. This one. Rapid fire te. Fuck. Try to catch the system off guard there. It's chi actually. View usage notes. So looks like someone taking an exam and looking sideways. Oh, to cheat. Okay, that makes sense. Oh boy, that's knee. Nah. Let's go. I was so close to clicking no there as well. Su? This looks like a Su to me. Cool. Let's see. We got what is that, like a cardboard box? We'll say that is, let's go ko there because it's a corner. I think that's what it, the mnemonic actually was. Had to sound it out in my head there. We got ta. Pretty sure we said it's that one. Fuck no, we didn't. All right, cool. That is she. This one, we just learned this one. New? Nice, new, okay. This one is su. Ah, it's actually so. Bamboozled yet again. That's a thing that does it. I'm gonna have to re-up on my coffee. Alrighty. Ka. Ka. You. Cool. Nice. Is this one Su? Okay, this one's Su. Alright, bet. 1 of 4. So it means we got what? 21 out of 25? Not too shabby at all there. Fuck this one. Chi. Nice. Okay. Cool deal. Cool deal. Ta is gonna be. Which one is Ta gonna be? That's the question. This one? No. So Takashi is taxi. Cool. There's a little letter T on the left, and you can slightly turn your head and see a big A. Oh, wow. The more you know. We said this one is Se, and then Ta is going to be this guy right here. 84%. We're consistently hitting these 80s, which, you know, we want to do a little bit better, but we still get a roll of the dice here. So let's see what we get. Oh, Mythic Rain Pull. Fuck yeah, this is actually the Phase Rain collab here. So it's actually one of the best pulls we could have got. So for sure gonna put that in the binder and keep it all moving. Let's see. Let's run it back on the katakana. Why not? Hankachi is handkerchief. Ha is gonna be what are we calling these? I don't even know. They look like AirPods or something.
ハンカチ
Hankachi.
は
Hot. All right. Mnemonic. Looks like little cartoon lines when a manga character laughs. See, I'd be reading manga too, so I'm just trying to make sure like I understand what's going on here, sort of deal. Manga laugh lines. Let's see. What manga are we gonna get? Ah, those. Okay. Gotcha. I got you. Alright. And we're gonna. This is probably the hardest symbol to trace for sure. Let's keep going. Hi.
ひ
Oh, sorry. He.
ヒント
Hinto. Sitting person waving his hand saying hi. Ah. Don't get more easy than that. Boom. Boom. We got fu. Furutsu is fruit. Fu is gonna be the 7 right there.
ふ
Fu looks like half of a smiling, laughing with foo foo foo. Oh, nice. You know, I've heard foo 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 used as like a laugh in like anime sometimes, but I've never known someone just when they start laughing just go foo 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 foo. You know, it's like kind of some like super villain, like what's the word I'm looking for? That super villain in Austin Powers. That's kind of the vibes it's giving me of. But yeah, let's keep it moving. Ha, I believe that's the same as in
ヘ
hiragana.
リコプター
Whoa, herikopta. Ah, very cool, very cool.
へ
Alright, same as hiragana. Looks like an arm hanging off a cliff and the person's yelling help. Very cool. Not that situation, but learning is cool, I guess. Ho, that's quite the symbol right there. Hotodogu.
ホットドッグ
Hotodogu. Holy Cross in the church aisle. Excuse me. Ooh. Oh boy, the hiccups might be out in full force today. Alright, we got 5 terms to review here. Hi is gonna be that. Oh, fuck no, it's not. Jeez, I'm lacking. What is the 7? Alright, 1 in 4 chance. Close my eyes. Pop. Okay, foo. Okay, that is foo. Damn. Alright. Ha is ha this. Okay, ha is laughing lines. That's ho. He is this one. I got you, boy. Hi. Foo. Okay, cool. We did absolutely shit-tacular on the little quiz here, as you can see. But let's tap the gotcha machine nevertheless. Get our roll. Ooh, cherry blossom. Fuck yeah. Alrighty. Coolest tree alive right there, in my opinion. But alright, let's go to let's study some words today. Get a little wordy with it. This one. Hee-ha? Hee-ho? Can I listen?
Hima
Hima. Ma, that's master. Ma, yeah, okay, cool. Hima is spare time, free time, leisure. Go he right here. Just Wonderful tracing, as you guys can tell. And of course, can't forget the ma. Boom shakalaka. Let's keep it moving. Company employee. The guess is going to be Kari Shireen. Kari Shireen.
会社員
Kai Shireen. Oh, I was close. This is definitely not Re, but Kai Shireen. He is an office worker. Okay. Cool deal. White collar vibes. Not my personal style, but you know, 'tis what it is. Ka. We got some fucking tracing ahead of us. God damn. Oof. Boom. There we go. Gotta get that she right here. Gonna have to hit the aim labs for my tracing skills. This is Ya. Just selling today, bro. It's fucking crazy. Alright. And we got, of course, the N. That in English would be an H with a little fancy leg. Handsome. That is, oh shit. So,
ハンサム
Hasamo.
handsome
Okay, so it's okay. Hasu. I wish there was like a little drop down that would like show me what the word is, you know, so I can like kind of get continuously keep guessing, or not guess, but quiz myself, help my memory banks, help my memory phase banks. All right. I don't even know really what this is. This could be like a company's logo for all I know. Here, this place, this point, is that Coco?
ここ
Coco. Ah, Coco. So we got one co. Of course, got another co. Okay, let's keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it grooving. We got famous, well-known.
有名
Oh man. Okay. Sheesh. I really gotta be more consistent with this. I'm slacking harder than usual. So famous, well-known. And we said that is wrong button.
有名
Yume?
有名
Yume. Okay. So we got you. Perfect tracing skills again. It's fucking might be the best in the world at this tracing stuff. No. Okay. And then we got the meh. Nice. Then is this I? Let me investigate here. Hiragana. I think that is nice. Thought so. Just had to be sure. This indicating an item. Okay, so this means so kone
これ
kone
これ
kore. Oof. Boom. There we go. Kore. Peso.
ペンペン
Oh,
ペンペンペンペンペンペンペンペン
okay. I think it's just pen, no? Pen. Okay. Room, chamber, apartment, flat pad. Very versatile word here. Sumo abbreviation, or and sumo it would also mean stable. Hya,
部屋
heya, heya. That Outcast song.
部屋
Heya. Okay. Get that ya. Put that ya in hey ya. Hell yeah. Sunday. You got Ricci. Nietzsche.
日曜日
Nichiobi. Nichiobi. Okay. So we got that ni right here. And of course, you got that she. Yo. This one is
日曜日
it's like a O or a U, I think. And then B. Oh yeah, look at that tracing. It's criminal they didn't accept that. Okay. B. Okay. Alright, we got okay. Coco is gonna be this one. Nice, okay. High, tall, expensive, high priced. Might be in over my head here a little bit, but you know, when you swim with one of the easiest ways to learn how to swim, or one of the, I guess, not easiest. I guess just one of the ways to learn to swim is to jump in the deep end with the sharks, huh? So I guess that's what we're doing right now. This one is Takai. Shinsetsu. Oof. It is Takai. Okay. Can I get a little volume on this?
私はとても高い熱があった。
Bro just freaking destroyed us right there. American person. It's definitely not Coco. Ayata. I think it's this one. Yeah, it does. It is nice. Hot weather. I don't think it's Shinsetsu. Yasui. I think it's Yasui. No, fuck.
暑い
Atsui. Okay. Handsome is going to be this one. I hope I can get
ハンサム
Hatsamu. Okay. Cheap, inexpensive, calm, peaceful, quiet. It's not. Is it Shinsetsu? See, there's like some terms I'm for sure not as familiar with as the rest. So like this one's name, this one, and the one that's like a freaking chameleon tail or whatever, kind of be tripping me up. I don't think it's Yasui. I don't think it's Atsui because that was a previous one. It's not Shinsetsu. Fuck. Actually getting cooked right now. Yasui is cheap, inexpensive, calm, peaceful, quiet. Okay. You, traditionally polite in reference to someone of equal or lower status, now often regarded as distant or rude. Ayada? Shiken? Ashita? Let's go Ashita. Nope.
あなた
Anata. Okay. We for sure gotta rinse and repeat these as many times as we can. High, tall, expensive, loud. Hima? Go that. Nope. Is actually spare time, free time, leisure. Hima?
暇
Hima? Okay. Isha? Tomorrow. Doctor slash physician is Isha. Okay. Famous, well known. We did this one. Unfortunately, I don't remember it. So, as of right now, as I take this sip of coffee, we have a 1 in 4 shot at getting this one right. Famous, well known. Yasui? Boom. Nope.
有名
Yume? Okay. I don't want to say that's Ni. Ni ho. Nihon? Okay, so it's Japanese. Okay. Nihonjin. Okay, Japanese person. Cool. Tomorrow. We got Ayata. Nope.
明日
Ashta. Didn't we just say that was like doctor or whatever? Difficult, hard, troublesome, complicated. What's it?
難しい
Muzukashi. Okay. Muzukashi is difficult, hard, troublesome, complicated. Room, chamber, apartment, flat, pad. Okay, so we did this one earlier. It's not Isha. I don't think it's Su. Heya.
部屋
All right. Pencil. This one.
鉛筆、
And pizza. Okay. We got pen. I think we said this one. That
ペン
pen. Okay,
Pen.
cool. I knew it was one of the ones that was like less symbol-y than the others. If that makes sense. We got Dio. Do Obi. Saturday.
土曜日、
Doyobi. Okay, so I wasn't that close. Or I wasn't that far off. Examination, exam, test, trial. Trial, experiment, test. Shiken? Hell yeah. Impulse right fucking there.
試験、
Shiken. Bensa?
元気
Genki. Okay. Way off. Genki. We got. What is this? Richi Yobi?
日曜日
Nichiobi. Okay. Yeah, it's. Again, it's those common problems of my. You just getting my symbols confused, I think. I think we're gonna stop there. At least on the Renshu portion. I'm getting a little tapped out right now. So we're gonna go into Rainy Days Japanese listening practice.
皆さんこんに
And
ちは。
I'm just gonna admire,
桜の季
everything there is
節
to
が
admire.
来ましたよ。でも雨が降っています。今日は雨の桜を一緒に見ましょう。
I do appreciate
病院
these
に行ったり、買い物に行ったりも
this is
します
sick.
よ。
Is this extension I downloaded? If so, that's freaking clutch. Hospital clinic.
シャドーイングの練習に
Shadowing. No Renshu. Renshu is practice. Ah.
使ってみてください。今は駅に向かっています。この日の午前中、息子が友達の家に
The son of morning metal.
電車で
Nice.
遊びに行きました。雨だったので、駅まで車で送りました。
Interesting how these cities are like,
お迎えに
at least this city right here, it's
行っているところです
pretty, they don't really have that many tall buildings. Especially not like to the extent that you'd see over here in
桜の木です。
the land of the free.
まだ満開ではないかもしれません。満開というのは
Mankai?
桜が一番咲いている
Mankai.
一番きれいな時です。雨は昨日も降っていました。雨が降ると桜が散ってしまいます。でも桜の時期は必ず雨が降ります。
It always rains during cherry blossom season, no.
それもあって
Eneos?
桜はすぐに散ってしまいます。桜の時期は本当に短いです。
I find it interesting how they also follow that kind of left side of the road
階段の道は駅に
driving
続いてい
thing
ま
that
す。
like Europe, and I guess most of the world does. We're just different over here.
交差点を越えると タクシーが見えますね。駐車場がありますが、ここには止めません。
Chusha. Parking. Chusha. Good lord, my ears are gonna freaking implode right now. I need to turn this down. Holy guacamole. Oh, now I can't hear it. Oh wait. Psych, we're good.
待ちます。
Chusha.
駐車場から車が出て行きます。
That's a goated vehicle, the armored Kuruma from GTA. That carried me through a couple
別の
heists.
車も出て行きます。前の車も行ってしまいました。また別の車も出て行きました。
It's Betsu. Separate. Cool.
息子がなかなか来ません。
Musuko. Ah, Musuko.
さらに前の車も行ってしまいました。少し心配になったとき、やっと息子が来
Oh,
ま
that's
した。
good. What's Sukoshi? Little Shinpai.
帰り楽しかった？あ、よかったね。それか。右手側に電車の
Densha is
ホーム
train.
が見えます。
Ah, Densha. Densha. Home?
左の
Oh,
お城みたいのは
old and ancient
昔
days.
お城があった場所です。今は公園になっています。線路の反対側にも続いている大きい公園です。今から息子を病院に連れて行きます。
Oh no. Why is Bro going to the hospital?
息子は1ヶ月半前に怪我をしました。その後、毎週病院に行っています。ところで皆さん、病院の発音には気をつけてください。病院を美
You say-
容院というと美容院に聞こえてしまいます。
Oh, beauty salon is Bioin.
美容院は髪
Oh,
を
wait,
切る
Bio
場
is
所で
beauty.
す。
Okay. Slowly starting to piece together everything.
今、立教を超えています。
Why is my
立教の先には
there we go.
さっきの
Okay.
お城の公園があります。ここの桜も綺麗です。
Koko no Sakuramo, which is here of Sakura
道
also.
の両側に上りが立っています。
Nobori? Streamers?
上りは
No.
これ
Nobori.
らの旗のことです。もうすぐお祭りがあります。その宣伝の上りです。話を病院と美容院に戻します。両方言うので違いを聞いてください。
Chigai.
病
Difference.
院、美容院、
Bioin?
病
Bioin.
院、美容院、
Okay.
病
It's on
院、
how you
美
say
容
it.
院、病院、美容院。どうでしょう。 違いは分かりましたか？日
Chigai?
本の人には
Chigao.
違う
Different.
言葉に聞こえます。ぜひ練習してみてください。ちゃんと勉強したい人はぜひ私のサブスクコースに入ってください。 こ
Oh,
ういう
shoot. She's
発音
trying
の
to
違い
get that
を
bread out
勉
here.
強したり、ピッチアクセントの勉強ができます。
It looks very helpful, though. I will say that.
とっても勉強になると思いますよ。
Great learning experience. Hell yeah.
はい、病院に着きました。車を入り口のそばに止めます。
Crazy how different the hospital looks over there compared to here. Over here,
雨で
they look like whole ass corporations. I mean, partly because they are, for being honest, but
では病院に入ります。終わりました。怪我が治ったので、もう行かな
nice.
く
Glad
て
to hear.
いいそうです。
Oh,
怪我をしたとき、息子はとっても痛そうでした。
there's pain. Ita
私
pain.
も本当に心配しました。なので、治ってよかったです。この後はドラッグストアで洗剤
Detergent
を
at
買
the
って帰
drugstore.
ります。
Doragusu toa. Doragusu toa. Doragusu toa. Oh,
洗
okay.
剤には
It's
食器
a bit of a
洗い
tongue
用と
twister there. Not
洗
gonna lie.
濯用がありま
Here's
す。
getting in my face.
今日は
Shokiare.
洗い用を買います。
Shokiare.
この前
Cap.
100円ショップで初めて食器洗い用の洗剤を買いました。そしたら水みたいで全然泡立ちませんでした。泡
Trying to
立つ
straight up be
と
a
いうのは
sponge for knowledge right now, man.
たくさんでき
Soak
る
it all
こ
up
とで
type
す。
deal.
もう100円ショップでは洗剤は買いません。
Alright, that's our 10 minutes right there. We're going to switch gears, no pun intended, into some car stuff. Or slash engineering stuff, because why not? The insanity of engine sensors. That looks cool to me right now. Alright, we're going to watch this.
Here in
'Cause
my
why not?
hands, I have three
'Cause this dude's a
boxes of
goat.
piston rings.
Oh, wait, let
Allow
me
me
go
to
back.
demonstrate that each of these
False
three
alarm. Clickbait. Gotta hit old girl with a like. There we go.
Breaking news. Do not
Ooh.
buy new windows if you live in North
Studio
Carolina.
Ghibli AI might have
Homeowners
gone
living
too
in North
far.
Carolina, zip
Good
Here
lord.
in my hands, I have three boxes of piston rings. Allow me to demonstrate that each of these three boxes has been completely untampered with. As you can see, the seal is not broken anywhere. This is as bought from the store from a reputable manufacturer. Our first box is Toyota 2E engine piston rings, and this is sort of your engine from the late 80s, most of the 90s, many different Toyota models.
Throwback engines.
Our second box, again, as you can clearly see, the seal is intact. Everything is intact, untampered with, and this is your Toyota 3ZZ engine, which is your very late 90s, most of the 2000s. Again, many different Toyota models, Corollas, you name it. And our final box, again, as you can see, completely untampered with,
This is gonna be a more recent
is
model,
your
I assume.
Toyota 2ZR FXE engine. It is still in production, and the box, as you can see,
Ah, big Prius.
is untampered with. What I'm
Nice.
going to do now is that I'm going to get my very crude but very effective ring tester, which I have made from scrap wood in my garage. But
Bro's got a
it's
whole
going to
mouse
allow
trap.
us to
That's crazy.
Place a ring in this little vise, and then we're going to measure how much mass or force is needed to be applied on the rings from these boxes to get them to close, to get the ends of the rings to meet.
Oh man, I was doing whole science experiments out here. That's crazy. In that volume with that picture. It's a pretty sturdy ring. It would seem.
And here we have our results, and let's analyze them very quickly. We can see that we have a reduction in piston ring rigidity, tightness, tension, whatever you want to call it, of 5% in the first compression ring between the 2E and the 3ZZ. To be honest, this is a very crude device. This is not lab quality, obviously. So I don't think this accurately measures 5%. What it does is that it detects these large differences, as we can see.
Wow, so he's just caring about the differences between them more so than the actual, number results.
Compared to the 2E, and we have a 31%
Smart.
reduction in the oil control, the bottom, the third rings. In the 2ZR, we have a reduction in tension in both the first and the second compression ring compared to the 2E engine. And honestly, the oil control rings were not measurable. I did not put any numbers because this alone was almost closing the gap on the oil control rings. The oil control rings on the 2ZR engine are the loosest, the flimsiest rings I have ever held in my hand.
Damn.
To be honest, I have never held the piston rings.
These kind of look like some slinky rings
these are
almost.
the numbers. What do these numbers tell us? They tell us that the less tension there is in a piston ring, the less rigid the piston ring it is, the less pressure it's of course going to exert on the cylinder when we put it in the bore. The less pressure the ring exerts on the cylinder as the piston goes up and down, the less friction we're going to have. The less friction we have, the more efficiency and power and whatever we're going to make. Basically, this is how manufacturers over the years, this is of course just one of the ways, but one of the very important ways of how manufacturers have been meeting emissions and efficiency standards over the years. They have been reducing progressively the tension of the piston rings. However, reducing piston ring tension is not something that manufacturers really talk about.
Imagine that reducing the tension. Would that not cause them to be able to fall out of place more easily? Or, let me think. Let me get my thoughts together before we continue. Would that consistent, tension from, the older models, would that not, add up to wear and tear on,
When they present a new generation of engines,
piston,
a
I
new
guess? I
vehicle
don't know.
model, a brochure,
Just shooting the shit.
wherever, they're really
That
not
thing
gonna
looks
mention
crazy.
reduced piston ring tension, although they have been doing it, as you can see, progressively throughout the years. Toyota, an example of reliability, included, and everyone else included. As you can see, sometimes in the 90s, we have reduced piston ring tension, but engines were very reliable in the 90s. If you take a Toyota or any other Japanese engine from the 90s, the sort of practice and pretty much common knowledge is that these engines do not consume oil. Between service intervals, the service interval, let's say, is 10, 12, 13,
Like how I
15,000
double,
kilometers. You're going to top up your oil, and then
got
the
my
next time it's time to
captions
service your
double
engine,
cupped right
the
now
oil
on
is
some
gonna
like
be
future stuff.
either at the very same level or just slightly below, so the engine will have consumed pretty much zero oil. And that is because what technology can do realistically and reliably has been achieved sort of in the early 2000s, and beyond that we are pushing things beyond the limit of what technology can reliably do. Allow me to explain. To have a piston ring with a lower tension and still have no oil burning within the engine, the first thing you're gonna have to change is your crosshatch pattern machining in the cylinder. A piston with very high tension can deal with very coarse, let's call it coarse machining, where you have large and deep spaces between the lines of the cross hatching of the cylinder, and we're going to be able to have large amounts of oil pooled in these spaces in the cylinder. But a piston with a big tension, with a lot of tension, is still not going to burn any oil because it's going to apply a lot of pressure, and this pooled oil in these cross hatches is not going to be an issue, and so the engine is going to have a lot of space to wear and to be reliable, and it will capably do hundreds of thousands of miles or kilometers. When you reduce your piston ring tension, you now have to change your machining strategy. You're going to have to make a much finer crosshatch pattern with less depth, because you want to prevent large amounts of oil pooling in the spaces of the crosshatch. If there's too much oil pooling anywhere, then your low tension piston ring will not be capable of controlling this, and oil will go past it into the combustion chamber where it will be burned. Having
Sounds like a bad time.
high tension first compression ring and a low tension second compression ring is a compromise, a reasonable compromise between friction and sealing and efficiency and oil consumption. We use the first compression ring to seal the cylinder and prevent blow-by, and we reduce the compression on the second ring because we want to reduce friction a bit. This works. It has been used extensively. If we reduce the tension both on the first and the second compression ring, and then not only reduce the tension on the oil control rings, but completely redesign the oil control rings. As you can see here, we have the oil control rings of the 2E and the 3ZZ. As you can see, a very similar design. And then compared to the 2ZR, we have a completely different design. There are no more two rings.
It's interesting how different the oil rings are from one another.
And an absolutely miniature little spring that is supposed to make this somehow not consume, the engine not consume oil. So if you reduce all of this, you enter a territory of very, very low tension, and you're going to have potentially high oil consumption. So you can make a very fine crosshatch pattern to have minimal, absolutely minimal oil pooling. You can even go to a plasma coating of the cylinders or another kind of bore spray coating that creates very microscopic little spaces where the oil can be. You have absolutely minimal space to prevent any kind of oil pooling, so you can minimize your oil consumption, and you can simulate all of this in your engine simulation software, and you can say, okay, this is going to work. However, this cannot reliably work over hundreds of thousands of different engines and over hundreds of thousands of usage scenarios of different conditions and different consumers. A simulation is as accurate as the number of variables. And if we have only few
Okay, so he's basically
variables,
saying
then the
there's so many
simulation can sort of
other variables
say,
not
okay,
accounted
this
for that can
engine
have an
cannot
impact on it.
consume
Makes
oil.
sense.
But the more variables we have, the less accurate the simulation, and in the real world, there are a lot of variables, which is why we keep some safe space we leave a margin for error by having a high tension at least on one of the rings. Here, there is no margin for error. The machining has to be absolutely perfect. But as we know, it is impossible to keep everything absolutely perfect on every engine and over hundreds of thousands of kilometers. And this is why the latest engines from pretty much all manufacturers burn oil. And manufacturers are actually putting this in the owner's manual. If you go out there today and buy a brand new car, in the owner's manual, it's gonna say the car is gonna burn some oil. In the 90s, in the 2000s,
I wonder why
this was
they
not
decided to
written in
go
owner's
that
manual.
direction, the car
Manual.
manufacturers.
If it was written, it was mentioned. in a
Presumably it cuts
fashion in
costs,
which
if I had to
it
guess.
suggested that if your engine burns oil, a significant measurable amount of oil, then something is wrong with your engine, because engines are not, four-stroke engines are not supposed to be burning oil. They're not two-stroke engines, which have a total loss oiling system by design. They burn oil to lubricate the cylinder. But nowadays, manufacturers are going to say something, and this is sort of the average over many different manufacturers, is that anything up to 1 liter per 1,000 kilometers of oil consumption is acceptable. Maybe I'm crazy, but to me, this is not acceptable. Why it's not acceptable is,
Wonder if they're
let's
trying to
take
artificially.
CCR.
Wonder if manufacturers are trying to artificially lower the lifespan of vehicles, kind of like how, like if you have an iPhone and then you buy a new iPhone, a planned obsolescence, that's what it's called. I wonder if they're trying to do that with modern vehicles to kind of increase the frequency at which people are buying them. Some food for thought, maybe.
FXE engines, which has an oil capacity of 4 liters. Now let's say that your engine consumes 0.8 liters per 1,000 kilometers. So it's below the threshold. It's a normal engine according to the manufacturer, according to the factory and the owner's manual. That engine will consume all of its oil. It's gonna burn 4 liters of oil. And your service interval nowadays is almost always 15,000 kilometers. That means that the engine is gonna burn all the oil and destroy itself before it reaches the next service interval. What's even worse is that these numbers, 1 liter per 1,000 kilometers, were written in owner's manuals in like 2015, 2016. If you go to Toyota's website now and open a owner's manual of pretty much any car, and this is not just Toyota, pretty much all the other manufacturers have a similar or the same strategy, and you open the service manual, it's gonna say that the car will, it's no longer questionable, the car will consume some oil. And they're gonna say something like a certain amount. But nowhere in the manual you will be able to find what that certain amount is. Is it 60 liters? Is it 1 milliliter? It's not, it's a certain amount. Why it's left undefined? It's left undefined because in the past, manufacturers were forced to replace many engines because owners could easily prove that their engine is consuming more than 1 liter per 1,000 kilometers. And of course, that was an added cost for manufacturers. So what the manufacturer did is that they put this, which is a very bold, red-lettered claim.
Kind of lazy by
regularly
manufacturers,
monitor your oil,
but they can't be
your
losing out on their
oil level in the
profits
car.
now.
Keep an eye on it so your engine doesn't blow up. So why are manufacturers doing this? Before you jump to the comments to type planned obsolescence, let me stop.
Called it.
I see it's a really popular term nowadays, planned obsolescence. Whenever something fails, everybody is now using planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence, and yes, I'm sure there are examples of planned obsolescence out there, many examples. This is not one of them. This is
was
not
wrong.
planned
It's like we never left
obsolescence.
Renshu.
Planned obsolescence is making something fail deliberately at a certain time so you could increase ultimately your profits or guarantee your profits. This is not done because this is not a reliable way of planned obsolescence. Manufacturers have no idea, they cannot reliably, using this specific method, guarantee when an engine is going to fail, okay? It depends on the consumer. There's too many variables to make this good planned obsolescence. There's far easier ways to achieve good planned obsolescence, and manufacturers are doing it. This is not one of those ways because too many variables. What this is manufacturers have to do this because of modern emissions and efficiency standards, and it's very obvious. As emissions and efficiency standards have been increasing, so has piston ring tension been decreasing to meet them. The problem, I believe, is at these emissions standards, these emissions and efficiency standards. Before you think that I'm some sort of, person that believes that we shouldn't have emission standards and that I'm anti this and that I believe that, we should all drive carbureted PCV into the atmosphere engine, I'm not that person. I am a petrol head, I am a car guy, motorcycle guy, whatever you want to call me, but I believe that we should have emission standards and efficiency for engines. I believe they should be improving, they should be increasing in their stringency. I believe I like clean air. Everybody else, I hope, likes clean air. So
Clean air is pretty cool, not gonna lie. Better than dirty air for sure.
What I do believe about these standards is that they are hypocritical. They're two-faced, they're dishonest, they're unrealistic, whatever you want to call it. Because what they do is that they take all of these standards, EPA, WLTP, you name it, they take a brand new, just broken in engine and they put it on their test cycle, test course, whatever you want to do, and they measure emissions, efficiency, and everything. And of course, a very fresh engine is not going to be consuming oil because it's easy to achieve whatever manufacturers are trying to achieve this. It's easy to achieve the tiny little margin of error when you have almost no variables. The engine is brand new. It has not yet been faced with the variables of the real world. And you get no emissions from increased oil consumption.
Variables of the real world, dude, for sure hit you hard.
However, as the engine ages, we get more variables, and many engines start consuming a lot of oil. I believe that these engines with 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 kilometers or miles would never meet the emission standards that a brand new engine does. Yet we base everything on brand new engines. And manufacturers are allowed to legally put in their owner's manuals to say that the engine will burn a certain amount of oil. If we are legally allowing this, then we might as well legalize two-strokes on public roads again, because they also burn oil. It's fine, right? Because a car that burns 4-5 liters of oil between two service intervals is not that far from a two-stroke. So what I believe that the emission tests should do, and that would be fair towards both consumers and the environment, and I believe everybody else involved, is to have two engines tested. One engine is as before, as it is now, brand new, just broken in. And another engine can be an artificially aged engine to a certain number of kilometers. And that number can be whatever scientists agree upon is the most fair number, 60,000 kilometers, 80, 100, 40, doesn't matter. You put the engine on a test bench, you virtualize, you simulate a usage cycle, and you let it run for a month. And it's gonna have non-stop for that time, and it's gonna have your number of kilometers on it. And then take those two engines and test them both the same way. And there must be a maximum allowable difference in emissions and oil consumption and fuel efficiency and power and everything between these two engines. If the difference is above that limit, that engine should not be allowed on the market. Because engines in the real world are used. We can have the most fuel efficient brand new engine on the planet.
So he's saying that
But that engine is actually
the engines that they produce and everything should be able to should be certified to go to the distance and have had many tests and safety standards, whatever, virtualizations, I think he said, simulations, that's what I'm looking for, ran to ensure that the customer is getting a good product and that standards are being met.
in the long run doing more damage to the planet and to consumers than a horrible ancient engine from the 90s. Because that old engine may not be as efficient when it was brand new, but it is not burning as much oil. And burning oil, as we know, is a very significant source of emissions. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Simple message, but something that I think needs to be put out there, and I think someone who has decision-making powers over the bodies of government that control emissions and whatnot should advocate this approach. It is not a significant increase for manufacturers, but I believe it would serve everyone.
Oh yeah, another incredible video from this dude, No Glaze, driving for answers. Gonna like that shiz up, and then yeah, I guess we'll do a little bit of Khan Academy. I feel like I haven't gotten enough wrong stuff for the day, so we'll do that. Kingdom Hearts, go to game series. If you know, you know. What we got? We're still working on differential calculus. Where am I? Here. Quiz 1. Oh boy. Let's do it. Dashed lines signify asymptotes. As x approaches -4 in general. It's unbounded. Maybe. We're about to get shit on here. As x approaches -4 from, or in the negative direction, or from the negative direction, I think that is. Yeah, okay, so it's from the negative direction, approaches -6. That is false, so we're not going to go there. As x approaches -4 from the negative direction, it approaches 3. That is also not true. So that should be the only one that's right. Almost. As x approaches, as x approaches +4 from the negative direction. Okay, then that would be 3. Okay, cool. Damn, we should have low-key got that one right. As x approaches -6 from the negative direction. The limit should be 4 now. Cool. As x approaches -4 from, okay, so from both directions, like 3.3. Cool. Should be 100% so far, but it is what it is. We don't live in a world of shoulds. We live in a world of what is. As x approaches 3, it's -4. As x approaches 4 from both sides, the limit doesn't exist. Okay. As x approaches -6 from both sides, let's see. Is the table appropriate for approximating limit as x approaches -6, h of x, if not y? Table isn't appropriate. The x values only approach -6 from one direction. And that's not true. The increments in x values are constant. They are, but I would say it's appropriate, no? Fuck. Cooked. Table isn't proving the increments in x values are constant. It would have to be this one, right? X values only approach -6 from one direction, but they don't. It's in x values are constant. 97654. So it'd have to be that one, no? How the fuck is this one? How? Step by step. Approximating a finite limit. Okay. Fucking ant, get off my screen, motherfucker. Okay. As we get closer, the x values aren't getting closer and closer to -6. Therefore, oh, okay. I see. Says the blind man. Okay. Five out of 6 correct. We'll keep it moving, keep it grooving. Limit intuition review. Says we've already done this. We've already done all this. Okay. Limit properties. We'll do this.
What I want to do in this video is give you a bunch of properties of limits, and we're not going to prove it rigorously here. In order to have the rigorous proof of these properties, we need a rigorous definition of
Thank
what a
you,
limit
bot.
is. And we're not doing that in this tutorial. We'll do that.
Glad to know bots are always watching. Welcome to modern,
fairly intuitive and they're very helpful for
whatchamacallit,
simplifying limit problems in the
modern internet.
So let's say we know that the limit of some function f of x as x approaches c is equal to capital L. And let's say that we also know that the limit of some other function, let's say g of x as x approaches c, is equal to capital M. Now, given that, what would be the limit of f of x plus g of x as x approaches c? Well, and you can look at this visually. If you look at the graphs of two arbitrary functions, you essentially just add those two functions. It'll be pretty clear that this is going to be equal to, and once again, I'm not doing a rigorous proof, I'm just really giving you the properties here. This is going to be the limit of f of x as x approaches c plus the limit of g of x as x approaches c, which is equal to, well, this right over here is that same color.
So you combine
This
the...
right here is just equal to L. It's going to be equal to L plus M. This right over here is equal to M.
Okay.
Not too difficult. This is often called the sum rule, or the sum property of limits. And we could come up with a very similar one with differences. The limit as x approaches c of f of x minus g of x is just going to be L minus M. It's just the limit of f of x as x approaches c minus the limit of g of x as x approaches c. So it's just going to be L minus M. That's often called the difference rule, or the difference property of limits. And these, once again, are very, very, hopefully, reasonably intuitive. Now, what happens if you take the product of the functions? The limit of f of x times g of x as x approaches c. Well, lucky for us, this is going to be equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches c times the limit of g of x as x approaches c. Lucky for us, this is kind of a fairly intuitive property of limits. So in this case, this is just going to be equal to, this is L times M. L times, this is
I think it's pretty obvious, no?
times M. Same thing if we, instead of having a function here, we had a constant. So if we just had the limit, do that same color, the limit of k times f of x as x approaches c, where k is just some constant, this is going to be the same thing as k times the limit of f of x as x approaches c, and that is just equal to, this is just equal to L. This is equal to L, so this whole thing simplifies to k times L. And we can do the same thing with difference. This is often called the constant multiple property. We can do the same thing with differences. So if we have the limit as x approaches c of f of x divided by g of x, this is the exact same thing as the limit of f of x as x approaches c divided by the limit of g of x as x approaches c, which is going to be equal to, I think you get it now, this is going to be equal to L over M, over M. And finally, this is sometimes called the quotient property. Finally, we'll look at the exponent property. So if I have...
So he's pretty much just saying you can make typical algebraic equations with various limits.
Even write it as a fractional power to the r over s power, where both r and s are integers. Then the limit of f of x to the r over s power as x approaches c is going to be the exact same thing as the limit of f of x as x approaches c raised to the r over s power. Once again, when r and s are both integers and s is not equal to 0, otherwise this exponent would not make much sense. And this is the same thing. This is the same thing as L. This is the same thing as L to the r over s power. So this is equal to L to the r over s power. So using these, we can actually find the limit of many, many, many things. And what's neat about it is the properties of limits kind of are the things that you would naturally want to do. And if you graph some of these functions, it actually turns out to be quite intuitive.
Cool. Limits of combined functions.
Let's find the limit of f of x times h of x as x approaches 0. All right, we have graphical depictions of the graphs y equals f of x and y equals h of x. And we know from our limit properties that this is going to be the same thing as the limit as x approaches 0 of f of x times the limit as x approaches 0 of h of x. And let's think about what each of these are. So let's first think about f of x right over here. So an f of x, as x approaches 0. Notice the function itself isn't defined there, but we see when we approach from the left, we are approaching, the function seems to be approaching the value of -1 right over here.
So
And
would
as
this
we
be
approach from
0?
the right, the function seems to be approaching the value of -1. So the limit here, this limit here is -1. As we approach from the left, we're approaching -1. As we approach from the right,
Right.
the value of
No,
the
it
function
would be
seems to be
-1.
approaching -1. Now what about h of x? Well, h of x we have down here. As x approaches 0, the function is defined at x equals 0. It looks like it is equal to 1. And the limit is also equal to 1. We can see that as we approach it from the left, we are approaching 1. As we approach from the right, we are approaching 1. As we approach x equals 0 from the left, the function approaches 1. As we approach x equals 0 from the right, the function itself is approaching 1. And it makes sense that the function is defined there and is defined at x equals 0, and the limit as x approaches 0 is equal to the value of the function at that point, because this is a continuous function. So this is 1, and so -1 times 1 is going to be equal to -1. So that is equal to -1. Let's do one more. All right. So these are both, looks like continuous functions. So we have the limit as x approaches 0 of h of x over
Alright, so we got 4 divided by 0.
g of x. So once again, using our limit properties, this is going to be the same thing as the limit of h of x as x approaches 0 over the limit of g of x as x approaches 0. Now what's the limit of h of x as x approaches 0? This is, let's see, as we approach 0 from the left, as we approach x equals 0 from the left, our function seems to be approaching 4. And as we approach x equals 0 from the right, our function seems to be approaching 4. And that's also what the value of the function is at x equals 0. That makes sense because this is a continuous function. So the limit as we approach x equals 0 should be the same as the value of the function at x equals 0. So this is going to be 4. Now let's think about the limit of g of x as x approaches 0. So from the left, it looks like as x approaches 0, the value of the function is approaching 0. And as x approaches 0 from the right, the value of the function is also approaching 0, which also happens to be g of 0. G of 0 is also 0. And that makes sense that the limit and the actual value of the
This is
function
pretty
at that point is the same
self-explanatory.
because it's continuous. So this also is 0. But now we're in a strange situation. We have to take 4 and divide it by 0. So this limit will not exist because we can't take 4 and divide it by 0. So even though the limit of h of x as x approaches 0 exists, and the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 exists, we can't divide 4 by 0. So this whole entire limit does not exist. Does not exist. And actually, if you were to plot h of x over g of x, if you were to plot that graph, you would see it even clearer that that limit does not exist. You would actually be able to see it graphically.
Cool. Oh yeah. Alright. After this next video, we should have
We are asked to find these 3 different limits. I encourage you, like always, pause this video
Little
and try to do it
quizzerini.
yourself before we do it together. So when you do this first one, you might just try to
the first one. X approaches -2 from both directions. Alright, so as x approaches -2, I would say 3 plus 3 is 6 for this one as x approaches 1. Actually, the limit for 1 might not exist because they're on the same, or because there's 2 different values here. Who knows? We'll see in due time as x approaches 1. So this is either 6 or does not exist. This one right here is x approaches 1. It's either 2 or does not exist. And then as x approaches 1, 2.
Try to find the limit as x approaches negative 2 of f of x, and then the limit as x approaches negative 2 of x approach. X exists. X
Let's see what it is.
exists of the sum from, so look from the right, it is approaching 1. And so once again, this is equal to 4. And since the left and right-handed limits are approaching the same thing, we would say that this limit exists, and it is equal to 4.
Okay, so what do we do here? As x approaches negative 2, 1, and 3. Let me rewind that low key. Got a little ahead of
From the
myself.
right, one f line. So the right, as x approaches negative 2 from the left of the sum, f of x plus g of x, exists and is equal to the limit as x approaches negative 2 from the right of the sum, f of x plus g of x. So what are these things? Well, as we approach negative 2 from the left, f of x is approaching, looks like 1, and g of x is approaching 3. So it looks like we're approaching 1 and 3. So it looks like this is
I
approaching,
see.
the sum is going to approach 4. And if we're coming from the right, f of x looks like it's approaching 3, and g of x looks like it is approaching 1. And so once again, this is equal to 4. And since the left and right-handed limits are approaching the same thing, we would say that this limit exists, and it is equal to 4. Now let's do this next example, as x approaches 1. Well, we'll do the exact same exercise. And once again, if you look at the individual limits for f of x from the left and the right as we approach 1, this limit doesn't exist, but the limit as x approaches 1 of the sum might exist. So let's try that out. So the limit as x approaches 1 from the left-hand side of f of x plus g of x, what is that going to be equal to? As we approach, so f of x, as we approach 1 from the left, looks like this is approaching 2. I'm just doing this for shorthand. And g of x, as we approach 1 from the left, it looks like it is approaching 0. So this will be approaching 2 plus 0, which is 2. And then the limit as x approaches 1 from the right-hand side of f of x plus g of x is going to be equal to, well, for f of x, as we're approaching 1 from the right-hand side, looks like it's approaching negative 1. And for g of x, as we're approaching 1 from the right-hand side, looks like we're approaching 0 again. And so here it looks like we're approaching negative 1. So the
that
left
can't
and right-hand
exist
limits
then.
aren't approaching the same value, so this one does not exist. And then last but not least, x approaches 1 of f of x times g of x. So we'll do the same drill. Limit as x approaches 1 from the left-hand side of f of x times g of x. Well, here, and we could even use the values here, we see when we're approaching 1 from the left, we are approaching 2, so this is 2. And when we're approaching 1 from the left here, we're approaching 0. And so this is going to be 2 times, we're going to be approaching 2 times 0, which is 0. And then we approach from the right, x approaches 1 from the right of f of x times g of x. Well, we already saw when we're approaching 1 from the right of f of x, we are approaching negative 1. But g of x, approaching 1 from the right, is still approaching 0. So this is going to be 0 again. So this limit exists. We get the same limit when we approach from the left and the right.
Interesting,
It is
okay.
equal to 0. So these are pretty interesting examples, because sometimes when you think that the component limits don't exist, that means that the sum or the product might not exist. But this shows at least 2 examples where that is not the case.
All right, let's see if we can hammer home these exercises. Functions h and g are graphed as x approaches negative 3. Okay. So the limit should be 3 on h of x, and g of x would be 2, 5. Hell yeah, nice. Take those. As x approaches negative 3, we're doing 0.5 times h of x. So as x approaches negative 3, we get 4. Half of 4 is 2. So we get 2 would be positive because it's in the positive y direction. As x approaches 0, 2 times g of x. We see that they're not the same, so that tells me the limit probably doesn't exist. Nice, okay. And then we got, as x approaches 1, f of x plus g of x. So as x approaches 1, right here, oh no, right here, sorry. So from the left, we get 3, from the right, there's a little bit of discontinuity there. So from the left, 3, 1, 4, but from the right, it is 1 plus 3, 4, so it'd be 4. Cool. Easy freaking money. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Alright, let's do some practice. As x approaches -1, h of x times f of x. As x approaches -1, we get 2. And then down here, we get 4, so it'd be 8. Okay. It's a little bit too easy, kind of bamboozled me a little bit. As x approaches 1, from the left we get 4. 5, 3, 4, limit doesn't exist. Okay, cool. Had to think about that one for a second. As x approaches 0, so 4, 0, 4 divided by 0, limit doesn't exist. Okay. Functions g and f are graphed. Limit as x approaches -3, g times f. As x approaches -3 from the right, or from the left, we'll do that first. You get 1 times 0, 0, -1 times 0. The limit is always going to be 0. Nice. Easy money. Just cooked right there. Love to see it. That's probably going to do it, though, for today. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Have a